Alright, so this is my 1000-year door 80% PB that I got a few days ago, offline. So I'm just providing some commentary. I'll go ahead and be talking about the run, and I'll just provide some insight on the tricks that I do in case I decide to use this for a submission. This run I was very proud of because like a few hours before I had done like an attempt, and I had absolutely like lost the run to a horrible RNG. So to get this run after was really good. This is post commentary, and I can still look at chat because I'm streaming live on Twitch. So if anyone were to have any questions about the run in general, I can answer it. Obviously, it's prologue, so there's not a whole lot to talk about still. But yeah, I was really happy with this run. I ended up getting top 5 in the category now. When I think I was 13th place before this run with the current PB that I had, which was the 227. And then this PB that I had ended up giving me 4th place, which is really cool. Like I said, prologue, there's not really gonna be a whole lot to talk about. Prologue in this game is always, it's always like, you know, the tutorial-based level of your RPGs, or just do tutorial-based parts. So it's not really gonna have too much that's different. Yeah, a lot of people think that this is the best Paper Mario in the history. I mean, there are a lot of Paper Mario games. But yeah, usually people say that this one's the best. So the interesting thing about this game is it doesn't actually take place in the Mushroom Kingdom, it takes place in Rogueport. So, you know, you got a completely different place where this game takes place, and, you know, you still see a bunch of normal enemies that you'd see in other Paper Mario, or, like, partners, like, you know, Goombas, Koopas, and, of course, Bowser is here. First fight with Lord Crump, nothing too special. We do actually make use of the Super Guard, which is a unique thing in this game only. And the Super Guard's actually going to be something we use later on for one of the final fights. That's the first place where it's useful because it does 1 damage and Crump has 5 HP. And then after that, we don't really Super Guard that much. But Super Guarding can be useful if you're in a situation where you might die. Because then if you potentially die, you can hit the Super Guard and take no damage whatsoever. Also, a little fact, there's actually more X-Nauts on screen on the Japanese version versus the English version, or any other version. For whatever reason, they just took out the X-Nauts, which I guess makes sense because depending on what bitrate you stream at, that section just tends to kill people's bitrates. Another interesting thing is, this is the only cutscene in the game where there's a cutscene going on in the background. And it actually does not matter how fast you mash through the text. You have to let the cutscene in the background finish before you can actually continue at all. Hello there, GG. So obviously, usually, when it comes to speedrunning, Japanese is always the fastest because of the text, and because usually the Japanese version is the version that releases first. So whenever we do speedruns, it's usually Japanese because there are less tricks that are patched. But US and Japanese, or US/PAL and Japanese, are actually very similar in length, but Japanese is considered to be the better option, especially with the new route update, because of some differences, and there are some tricks that are just harder on the English/PAL version. So we just opt to use Japanese. So right here we're buying 7 Fright Masks, which we're going to use for Chapter 3 later. And then we're going to buy 2 Fireflies, which we are going to use in the next chapter, Chapter 1. So it's actually slower to hit the save block there, but it's actually faster to hit it if you intend to save. This run does actually have intentional saves, so it's better to hit the save block there. Because if you don't hit the save block, Goombella mentions to Mario that you should be hitting the save block. I guess something I can mention while we're still in Prologue is the 80% category has just changed a lot, you know, throughout the years. When I started running the game in 2016, the game was still above 4 hours. You know, you basically had to do everything in order, and there weren't really any huge chapter skips. There were a few stuff that we could skip, but you pretty much had to do everything in order. Then once PAL skip was found, which was pretty much the biggest thing to be discovered in this game, the route was, I believe it was Chapter 1, Chapter 2, then I believe we would, I don't even remember the old route, but I would believe we would do Teleport Room early. Yeah, we do Teleport Room early, which is a trick I'll explain later. Also, briefly, I want to mention that this is a horrible thing in the game. If you press B or A on that first text, you'll be forced to hit the tutorial. So you have to actually press up and A. But yeah, so old route when I started running and PAL skip was found is you would do Chapter 1 and 2, and you need to get the blimp ticket, and then you'd go to Chapter 7 and change the sequence to Chapter 7. Then you'd go to Chapter 3 to get Yoshi. Then you'd complete Chapter 7, and then you would complete Chapter 8 with PAL skip. Now with when Blip Ticket Skip was found, it changed a lot, and now essentially the route has always been we do Chapter 1, we open the door to Chapter 2, then we do Teleport Room early, because there was a new method of Teleport Room early that was found. There's a lot of different methods, and then basically we would be able just to do Teleport Room early, essentially after we got Paper Mode. But because we need to go to Chapter 2 at one point, there's no way to get into Chapter 2 unless you open it. This is the hardest room in Prologue, by the way, with all those Goombas. But yeah, basically we would do Chapter 1, we would open Chapter 2, we'd go to Chapter 7, change the sequence there. Then we would actually go back to Chapter 2 to get the Super Boots. Then we would complete Chapter 6, so then we can basically ride the train in the cutscene to do Blimp Ticket Skip, which is what you need to do. And then we would complete Chapter 3, then complete Chapter 7, and complete Chapter 8. I'm sorry, we wouldn't complete Chapter 3, we would just get Yoshi. So we get cursed because, you know, we're kind of dumb, and, you know, we opened a very suspicious chest. So now we can turn into a paper airplane. Yo, what's up, Jake Bop? Yep, giving commentary. Might as well, you know, have something, you know, in this PB. Now that we got the paper mode curse, we actually don't need to go to the 1,000-year door. We're actually just gonna go immediately to chapter 1 with a trick known as hazard respawn glitch. We can do a trick known as blooper skip to essentially just skip the blooper fight and the rest of the cutscenes. This is done by doing 2 frame perfect jumps and then landing on the boat panel. And when you do this, the game doesn't exactly register where that Mario has touched the ground. So when you hit the water, the game, since Mario's position wasn't updated to basically that point of the room, the game just essentially sends Mario to the very middle of the screen. So it's 2 frame perfect inputs, and this is a 60 FPS game, so it's a little challenging, but it's not too bad. And there's no pipe, but, well, the pipe is invisible, but it's still there. So now the funny side effect of skipping the cutscenes is frankly actually stays with us throughout most of the run until we get Yoshi. Yeah, I was very happy to get a 221. So we're actually gonna do hazard respawn glitch again. For whatever reason though, the Mario's respawn position doesn't actually get checked until after you pass essentially the pipe in this next room. So all we have to do is essentially open the pipe right here with this bush, and Mario's hazard respawn position is still not updated, so I can go into the middle of the screen right here, and I have to get a frame perfect input to jump out of the water here and skip the bridge. If you don't get it though, unfortunately, you'll just die and lose the run. It takes about 25 seconds, and if you get it first try at least. I believe I get it 6th try right here. Yeah, I get it 6th try. So I essentially broke even, which is still alright, but it's just not ideal. There's Frankly, as you can see, just walking all across the screen. World record soon? Hey, maybe. I think it's even more, like, impressive that I got this time hours after I failed Palace Skip because of horrible RNG. So it doesn't actually, sorry. It does not actually matter what option you choose there with Croup. He just asks you some stuff and it doesn't matter, like, not one is faster than the other, so you can just mash A and B. Something I could mention, you're noticing that I'm doing a lot of jumps right here. That is something called speed swapping. Mario travels faster up and down versus side to side. So if you go up for at least 1 frame and then jump to the side, you actually move a little faster. So basically I go up for a bit and then I jump and I maintain frame perfect jumps to continue speed swapping, which, you know, saves time over the course of the run. I couldn't give you an exact number, but it saves time. Easy way to take care of the next fight is just using a POW block, which we actually do the same thing for the next fight as well. Throughout the entire run, I'm going to avoid getting into any encounters as I can. There are a few that are forced, like these two, and other than that, I'm trying to avoid every encounter if I can, because you lose about 10 seconds every encounter you get, so it's generally better to avoid them. Right there, you can get a frame per jump out of the battle. Doesn't really save that much time, but it gets you closer to the exit. So it saves a little bit of time. Maybe like a second, or like a few frames. So this is the quiz, and the cool thing about this game, or really most games in general, is even with the version differences, the answers are usually the same. So the answer order is always the same. It's always 1, 3, 4, 2, 3. Now I can't say the answers are actually the same because right here, that answer is actually different. I believe on the US version, the answer is 16. It's still the third option, but on the Japanese version, it's 12 coins instead of 16 coins. Still same order, but it is not the same answer exactly. The good thing though is even if you get a question wrong, you can just, there are 2 more questions that you can answer. So, you have backups. So, here are the fuzzies. Fuzzies are very annoying to dodge, especially on the Japanese version, because on the Japanese version, they actually move more frantically, I guess, if you want to call it that. For whatever reason, just on the Japanese version, they move a lot faster. This fuzzy is forced, though, and thankfully they have 3 HP, and a Fire Flyer takes care of them very quickly. So we just got the Sunstone, and now we're gonna get the Moonstone, which is on the left side. Almost got into an encounter with that fuzzy, but thankfully was able to avoid it. So now that is all said and done, we have the Gold Fuzzy boss, which is not too bad of a fight, thankfully. We can kill him in just 2 short turns. So this is actually another fight that requires a super guard for it to be a fast fight. So essentially I'm going to get a super guard with the Gold Fuzzy. And then I'll be able to kill him with a jump with Mario and then a Fire Flower with Goombella. And thankfully when the Gold Fuzzy dies, the horde goes away. Now right here is just a bunch of backtracking. because we have to go all the way back to Hotel Castle. So this is Koops. He tried to approach us earlier, but he was too shy to. Essentially, his story is his father basically left when he was very young to go to Hotel's castle to find the treasure, but then he never came back. So then essentially he sees Mario and overhears that he's trying to go to Hotel Castle, and then Koops asks Mario to join him because he wants to know what happened to his father. Whether he is dead or alive, he wants to know what happened. Now Koops joins. So this is his girlfriend, and his girlfriend is telling him not to go, and he won't listen, so she gets upset. You know, concerned girlfriend. So now we have the sun and the moonstones. We can almost unlock Hooktail's castle. There's some text there that mentions that one person needs to hit the block or the switch on one side, and then the other person needs to hit the switch on the other side. It's actually possible to hit both switches with just Mario, but that's TAS only. So I'm losing some time here because of a bad bridge skip versus my gold, but I'm pretty sure I end up still being ahead anyways. Yep, I still end up being a little bit ahead. So this next room's actually a little scary because there's a Koopa and two Paratroopas, and they can just really mess up your day. Like, this was not the best RNG to get, or the enemy placement, but I still somehow avoided all of them. It was very close. So Koops thinks that this is his dad and there is a letter attached to him, and he wants to read it, but we say no. But the letter actually reveals that it's Colorado's father instead. Colorado being a character from the first Paper Mario game. So got a Red Bones fight right here. Very easy to take out though with just those two fire flowers. Now we have the first level up of the run. We're only going to be leveling up, I believe 3 more times after this one. So level ups are going to be important. We want to start off with an FP level up, and then we want to do BP at least once, and then the rest just goes into Mario's HP. So in this room you can save a little bit of time. So normally you have to hit that switch right there, the red one, in order to flip the staircase and then get the key. We can actually jump across here and get that star piece that is actually required. And you can just jump down there and get the key without having to deal with the red switch. Pretty easy trick and saves a decent amount of time. This castle makes use of Coop's ability pretty quickly, where you have to hit the switch right there with Koops and then quickly go through the jail with Mario. And we ran into a trap. Thankfully, the game gives you way too much time to escape. So we have another black chest right here, and you'd think that we wouldn't trust it, but we're going to. We are cursed once again. So this is the paper mode curse. So if we actually had a way to get into chapter 2 without opening it normally, we would actually be able to just leave Hooktail Castle immediately and then go do teleport room early. But unfortunately, there is no way to get into chapter 2 without having to open it, because you can't go through the blue pipe because you need the super boots, and you know we can't get the ultra boots because that's in chapter 6. So unfortunately, there is no way to enter chapter 2 without completing Hooktail Castle and talking to Punio whenever you get him. So we're getting the first of 3 shine sprites right there, because for the longest time, a lot of runs would always use the Peril Mario strats or the Danger Mario strats, where we just get Mario to either 1 HP if you're doing Peril Mario, 5 HP if you're doing Danger Mario, and accidentally talked to the bones right there. But basically, the Great Pipe is the normal way to get into chapter 2. That's what I'm saying. But anyways, for the longest time, we used to use Peril Mario or just Danger Mario, where, you know, we'd basically abuse the power of Power Rushes with Mario and then get him down to low HP and abuse Power Bounce. But it's actually faster to use your partner as Peril. So for this run, we actually use Peril Goombella. The benefit to doing that is Multi-Bonk is just super rank. Also right here, there's a trick known as window jump I'm gonna do. Sorry, there's a lot to explain. That saves about 8 seconds, but you lose about like 15 seconds each time you fail it, so it's a little risky. But anyways, back to Peril Goombella. So Peril Goombella is better than Peril Mario / Danger Mario, because we used to have to get a bunch of Power Rushes, which would require us to do the parlor. But with Peril Goombella, we can just buy 1 Power Rush at the badge shop, and we can get Mega Rush P, and obviously Power Rush P, from the Kroops' backyard, and then use Multi-Bonk by just upgrading Goombella. And the cool thing is it doesn't require any badge points, because Power Bounce does require badge points, but Goombella's Multi-Bonk does not require any badge points, and it's basically the same, works the same as Power Bounce. So this is an intentional encounter. There's no way to avoid it unless you were to get a bunch of frame-perfect pauses that the task can do, but it's not really possible for a human. So in that room, while I was explaining Peril Goombella, I got the castle key, a shine sprite, and you know, got a nice visit from Miss Mouse. Another instance of the Japanese version being different than the US/PAL version, this plane panel is further away. They moved it closer on the other versions. Last castle key, and then there will be one more shine sprite I will get right up here, and then it's off to fight, funny enough, the hardest fight in the game. Or in the run, at least. So, the reason why Hooktail, the first boss of the game, is the hardest in the run is because it actually requires the most power bounces. This is the only fight that requires 9 power bounces, which is actually frame perfect. Basically how power bouncing works is you start with, I believe, 7 frames on the first bounce to get to the second bounce. So to get 2 jumps, it's 7 frames. You get 3, it's 6, then 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, and then basically to hit 9 power bounces, on the 8th bounce you need to hit a frame perfect input. And then after that you need to get an 8 bounce, which is, it's 2 frames, but it's still, you know, it's a very tight window, so it's definitely the hardest fight in the run, in my opinion, just because of the fact that it's the only fight that requires the most power bounces. So ideally, to get a fast fight, you would get a 9 bounce, an 8 bounce, and then you would just get one more 8 bounce, and you would also use coops. If you want to go for a really fast fight, you can go for an 11 bounce or a 10 bounce on the second turn. So I did get the 9 bounce right there, which is good. And earlier I put on power bounce and the cricket badge, so Hooktail's weak to it. There's an 8 bounce right there, and that is the first phase. And in the second phase, I'll just need an 8 bounce, and then use coops. No, there's a cap. But the caps are a bit generous on Thousand Year Door. Because on Paper Mario 64, the power bounce cap would cap you at like 3 or 4, depending on the boss. On this, most of the bounces don't cap you until like 7 or 8. In this case, 9 is the cap. Like one of the caps. So we got an 8 bounce right there, and this will kill her. So there we go. The hardest boss of the run is done. But yeah, the power bounces do have a chance to cap you after, like, at 9. So it's a little risky to go for an 11 bounce because you have to get past essentially 2 caps. And also you have to hit 2 frame perfect inputs. Actually, no, I'm sorry. If you were going for an 11 bounce, you need to hit 3 frame perfect inputs. So with that, chapter 1 is done, and we get the first crystal star. And this was actually a really good segment that I ended up golding. So now that the chapter is completed, we have Peach intermissions, which there's not really much to talk about there. The Peach/Bowser intermissions are just the things in between that will go on for a few minutes. Just basically relevant to the story. So I'm probably not going to be providing much commentary for this section unless someone in the chat has a question about the run. So to answer your question, Jake, and I'll get into it whenever we actually get there, because when this is uploaded on YouTube, people won't, I guess, understand what people are asking. But Jake in the chat asked if I didn't find the Bowser fight and the Shadow Queen fight hard. So to answer a bit of that, the hardest thing about the Bowser fight is the Super Guard. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the final fights being the Bowser fight, you have to hit a few Super Guards on the Bowser fight, with this route at least, and it's a little challenging, but it's not too bad. Then Shadow Queen just has a chance to die to RNG, but it's very unlikely, I found. Like, I used to think that this route was a lot more riskier than it actually was, but it's actually not as bad. Oh yeah, a little side effect. As you can see, Frank Lee is traveling with Peach. So this is Tech, and we're not going to see much of him, but essentially his goal for the entire game is just to figure out more about Peach, and also find out what love is, because he doesn't know what love is. So Peach has to kind of explain everything to him. And Tech is under Grodus's control, who is the leader of the X-Nauts, but he kind of helps Peach out and lets Peach send Mario an email. So even though Peach is kidnapped, she's kind of on house arrest. So she's like not really in jail or in a cage. She's just, you know, stuck in a room. Kind of similar to the first Paper Mario, where she was locked in a room for most of the game. I guess that would be more house arrest. And obviously we got the King of the Koopas, and frankly actually follows Bowser as well. You know, there's a side effect of this cutscene because, or of frankly being with you. Because Frankly's always set to follow Mario, and essentially when you control Bowser / Peach, it's like, oh, this must be Mario. So obviously right there, I'm not saving, because when you save a game, it actually takes a bit to update on the memory card, so it's faster to not save. There will be points where I will be saving, but not there. So now that Chapter 1 is done, we're going to immediately leave, but before that, we're going to get Mega Rush P, which is going to be very useful later. That little thing I did right there is known as an unspin jump. Basically, if you unspin with Mario and press A on like the same frame, then you can get a little jump out of your out of your paper mode, which is a little bit faster. But it's going to be useful for the next trick coming up. Not the best Goomba placement, but I was able to avoid him. So right here, if you're quick enough, whenever you go into this pipe, you can actually make this platform cycle. It's not too hard, it's actually easier on the Japanese version. Okay, you can jump across there, and you can jump across here, and it saves a bit of time. And then right here, this saves a few seconds if you get it. If you have really good movement and fast speed swaps, you can actually make it to the other side. And I almost never get that in runs, but I got it there, and I was really happy that I got it there. It saves like a few seconds, like 2 seconds, I believe. But it's very satisfying to get. I guess it's referred to as the Pog cycle. I don't know. It's just a fast cycle to get. So we've got technically the second Crystal Star cutscene, or the second Thousand Year Door cutscene, but this is actually the first time we're seeing this because we skipped the first one. Okay, it's not actually called the Pog cycle, it's just the fast cycle. You can thank Jake Bop in my chat for making me think it's called Pog cycle. So like I said, the only reason we have to do this is to open Chapter 2. We could skip all this if there was a way to go into Chapter 2 without opening it normally. So right here, a few things are going to happen. So we got 3 Shine Sprites, and we're going to upgrade Goombella. This will get her the Multi-Bonk ability. Then after I do this, I'm going to get something called a Spin Delay, which is essentially where you wedge Mario on like a certain area, and then press R. And then you'll essentially be walking at normal speed, but in paper mode. And then you can open a door, and Mario essentially won't go through, and then I'll be not exactly out of bounds, but areas will be unloaded. So like I can walk past this wall, and then I can jump down to this platform right here, which you're normally not supposed to access, and then I can get Double Dip, which is going to be a badge useful for manipulating Goombella into peril. And after that, I just kind of move blindly, not blindly, but through the darkness, and I'm trying to jump on the pipe, and I missed it a bit, but then I finally got it. Now, going all the way down to talk to Punio, and then open Chapter 2, and then I'm immediately going to leave. We are not going to enter Chapter 2 right now. Now that chapter 2 is open, I can leave. And I guess in case anyone is wondering, actually I'll explain this after. Right here I'm going to do another hazard respawn glitch. Once again, I'm going to jump on the first frame that I can into the water, and then Mario spawns on top of the block. Anyways, for anyone wondering, this game is all based on sequence and flags, at least in terms of where sections get updated. And unfortunately, going to chapter 7 does not actually update the flag to have chapter 2 open. So if it was possible, if the flag did update, then we could go to chapter 7 and then chapter 2 would be opened. But unfortunately, the game doesn't let us, so we are forced to open chapter 2. But now coming up is not the hardest trick of the run, but definitely a very finicky trick known as teleport room early. So there's a lot of different methods, but this is the method that is really only used for 80%. You can use it in other categories, but this is the one that's mostly used in 80%. So first off, I'm actually resetting my neutral right here. You don't have to do this, but it's something that I decided to start doing because it's a little easier. What you have to do is you have to hold a specific angle. And then what you do is while you're in paper mode, you have to basically wait until Mario is in between a certain section, which is only about 2 frames, like a 2-frame window. Then you have to do the unspin jump that I did earlier. And if you do this, you can clip right through the door. So right there, I kept resetting my neutral because I didn't have a good angle, but now I have a good angle to where I don't need to actually hold the controller whatsoever. Again, this is not required, but it is something that I decided to do because it's better on my thumbs. I don't need to hold the angle. And once you know that you've got the angle, you can just keep attempting it until you get it just like that. So it was actually really good, and I ended up golding once again. Yeah, I decided because I realized it's a lot better. Like, instead of having to hold the angle constantly, I could just reset my controller. And to clarify, that is completely allowed. Yeah, you are technically manipulating the controller, I guess, in a way. And making it easier on yourself, but as far as the rules go, that is completely allowed. Because you're not modifying your controller in any way. Anyone can do it. All you have to do is press Start, Y, and X to reset your controller. Or you can unplug and replug in your controller. I personally do that. I personally unplug and replug in my controller. But now we're in chapter 7, and I read the red note earlier because if you actually go into Gertus's room, it doesn't update to chapter 7. For whatever reason, reading the red note updates the game, chapter 7. So now we're in chapter 7. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to get the elevator key and the 2 key cards, and then we're going to immediately leave. So thankfully, similar to the English version, this order is always the same, or this code is always the same. I know on the PAL version it's different, or like, there's some version where it's actually like a word, but on the Japanese version at least, it's always 014029. And now we've got another quiz, which, similar to the last quiz, the answer orders are the exact same. Okay, so apparently on the French version, it's excuse. Whatever that means. Or why it's that, I have no idea. So now that I got the elevator key, all I need to do is get the last key card and then be on my way. And right here, I know it's coming up, and it's a very stupid mistake that loses about 10 seconds. So there's these tiles in the room that you can step on, and you can only step on these tiles, and the other ones are like electric, so you'll get hurt. So right here, I'm following the tiles and stuff, and then for some reason, I decide to jump right there, and I completely missed the thing. So I respawn there, and I'm just like, gosh, dang it, I gotta go all the way back. And it was a very dumb mistake. And then I learned from my mistake, and I was like, alright, I'm just gonna do that. You know, dumb mistakes that you don't make the second time. So now with that, I can leave Chapter 7, and I will actually complete Chapter 7 later. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do something known as jump storage, where I'm basically going to store a jump with Mario and Koops right here. I'm going to use Koops over on the side right here and get him stuck. And I'm going to essentially open the door and use Koops at the same time. And it might not look like much happened, but essentially, Mario, I stored a jump with Mario. And then if I change Mario's Y speed without jumping, because I can't jump, I have to change Mario's Y speed like going over a ledge, Mario will just levitate for some reason. It is not an action replay code or a cheat or anything. There is a legit way to levitate in this game. Before we levitate though, we have to go through this cutscene because we did not actually stomp on our contact lens. We did not stomp on our contact lens originally, but the reason why we don't is, like, we don't do this cutscene earlier is because we actually don't have a reason to go to the other side of Rogueport. But just like that, as you can see, I am levitating, and that allows me to get the Ultra Hammer chest. The Ultra Hammer is actually going to be useful for a palace skip later. Other than that, it's not required. There used to be another way that people would do Ultra Hammer early, which is what this trick is called. That is a lot harder. But this is the only method we can do because it requires, the other method requires Flurry, and we skip Flurry in this route, or in this run in general. So going to the lovely hose of badges and selling Power Bounce and Attack FX because we do not need those whatsoever. And then I'm going to buy Power Rush P. I make a slight mistake right here, and I almost buy Power Rush for Mario. And I'm just like, no, I need to buy Power Rush for my partner. Just like that. So, little mistake there, but nothing to complain about, because I at least did not accidentally buy the wrong Power Rush. That would have been tragic. So now that that's done, I'm actually going to go to Chapter 2 now and get the Super Boots. The reason why I need the Super Boots is because I need to get to Chapter 6, and the fastest way to get to Chapter 6 is by getting the Super Boots and hitting the switch to go to Postly Sanctum, to take the blue pipe to Postly Sanctum. You can do that unspin jump right there and save a little bit of time. But this is the only reason we go to Chapter 2. So if there was a way to get into Chapter 6 without the Super Boots, or there was a way to get into Chapter 2 without needing to open it like I did earlier, we would save a lot more time. Hello there, Sandy. So, for some reason, all the peonies are out here. Usually they're only out there after you beat Chapter 2. The game, for some reason, just keeps them out there whenever you visit the Great Tree for the first time. So thankfully, almost everything is completed in Chapter 2 for us. There is one thing, well, there's a few things that are not completed. One of them being the Jabby Hive. The Jabby Hive is based on flags. I believe that is correct. And so updating the sequence of the game does not update that flag. So we have to do something called Jabby Hive Skip, which is very interesting. Essentially, I'm going to do something called a Goombella buffer into the loading zone, which basically, whenever you use a partner's ability, Mario can actually move for 4 frames, which is the exact same reason why I can do that storing the jump with Koops and opening the door, because it takes 4 frames for your partner to actually use the ability. So I basically move into the loading zone, and the loading zone does not actually activate. So then from here, I can do something. I got it really fast right there. Essentially, I'm in paper mode, and then I pause and jump on the same frame and unpause really fast, and then I can clip out of bounds right there and pass the Jabby Hive. And then I can get the Super Boots. And now because I got the Super Boots, that actually reverts the game back to Chapter 2. But thankfully, that does not matter because I'll be able to update my game to Chapter 6 in just a few minutes. So now the music is different, and the game is essentially reverted to the section where you need to go save the peonies from the cage. So if I were to go down to the cage, I believe the peonies would actually be there. Oh yeah, because we never fought the Jabbies, the game is like, oh, you still gotta do this fight. So now all we have to do is make our way out of Chapter 2. That is all we need to come to Chapter 2 for. So I get that Thunder Rage there because it's actually going to be useful for fights later on. And there's that X-Knot that's very annoying. Just going to lure him over there, and then we are all good. So at this point, we're going to be making our way to Chapter 6. Now, normally you can't beat Chapter 6 without the Ultra Boots. But thankfully, thanks to that super jump, I can essentially do the same thing that I did with Ultra Hammer early, but use it for Pasha Sanctum. Right here, I sort my items and then I check the email, because if you don't check the email at least once, also breaking this block just for later, if you don't check the email at least once, then every time you get an email, the game's gonna say, hey, you should check your emails. And it ends up just being slower. So right here I break the first block, but it's actually a little faster to get the hazard respawn glitch for the second one. I messed it up, so I don't go for it again. Loses a little bit of time there, but it's okay. So I'm gonna be doing something a little different here. So instead of immediately going to get the super jump, I mentioned this before, I think briefly, but you can't actually jump with Mario at all when you have a super jump, because if you do that, then instead of levitating, Mario just kind of jumps in place. Like, or he like doesn't even leave the ground. He like kind of like does a little, he does the jump animation, but he doesn't actually leave the ground. So you essentially get rid of the jump storage or the super jump. So in order to actually be effective and use it for this section, we're actually going to save the game right here after updating the chapter sequence to chapter 6. We're going to save the game, and then we're gonna go to the teleporter room, do that same thing that I did for the super jump for Ultra Hammer early. Then I'm gonna actually purposely die with Mario, and then load the file again. And then the jump storage will actually transfer between files. It does not transfer between files if you soft reset, but it will transfer between files if you game over. So it's really nice. So the game is now updated to chapter 6, as you can see. The main way you can tell is because the Koopa Trolls and Koopa, or Magic Koopas, aren't usually enemies until, I believe, after you beat chapter 5. So guys, do the exact same thing right here. I believe I messed it up, I believe, 2 times, and I get third try, which is not too bad, but it's a little annoying. Yeah, so I get third try right there. And like I said, I cannot jump whatsoever. I need to now get a game over, which is thankfully not too hard, because I am conveniently at low HP. And there's a hammer bar right there. That guy also has a pretty lucky. I was a little concerned that I was gonna try and jump on that guy and he was gonna get lucky and I would just lose a bit of time, but thankfully that did not happen. So we got a game over. Oh no, what are we gonna do? Well, that is okay because we just saved. So now I can load the file and I won't need to change Mario's Y speed whatsoever, or I won't need to jump at all. And now I can go beat chapter 6. Yep, I did die. Pre-recorded run? I mean, this is a pre-recorded run. I'm giving commentary above it right now. This was a pre-recorded run. I did this run offline and I'm giving commentary to it right now. Which is why I was able to say I didn't get it first or second try, I got third try. I mean, that is the whole reason why this the title of the stream is TTYD any percent PB with commentary. So right here, there's a little platform right here, which will allow me to get the Y speed in order to do the super jump. I believe I messed it up. Yeah, I messed it up right there. So I just try it again, and there you go. Thankfully, I did not press A. If I would have pressed A there, then it would have ruined the whole trick. So lost a little bit of time because of the a third try jump storage, but still a solid segment. And now Chapter 6 is done. So I guess to explain this now, the reason why we need to beat Chapter 6 is because for blimp ticket skip, which allows us to get to Chapter 3 without the blimp ticket, in order to get the jump storage, you can get a jump storage on cutscenes as well. You can also get them on emails. That is really the most common place that we get them. And there is an email with Peach right after you leave the train. So we actually get a super jump right there, and then we're able to levitate with using the super jump in order to skip a very tall barrier. Nice hammer there, by the way. But skip a very tall barrier that is covering the section where you go to get the blimp. So we have to beat Chapter 6 because there's no way to get this email unless you beat Chapter 6. So now we got more Peach cutscenes. Well, one more Peach cutscene, and this is the second to last Bowser cutscene. So once again, not really much to say here. This is the section where unfortunately Tech gets discovered to be helping Peach. So Grotus discovers that Tech has been helping Peach, and unfortunately deactivates him. Man, Bowser's had a rough time. The last time we saw him, he was just in his clown car, so maybe he hasn't had any luck this entire time. Basically, Bowser's objective in this game is to get the Crystal Stars as well, but he just is really bad at it, because Mario's already gotten all of them. So now we got a Bowser level. There are 3 in the game, and this is the only one we get to do in the run. There are a few different times that you can get, and there are the time in the top right there. But the most consistent one to get is a 154, which you can get by just destroying the fire bars. I think the absolute best you can get is a 156, but it requires a really inconsistent cycle with the fire bars. Also, Frankly comes out of the castle right there. So Bowser stumbles across what he thinks is the crystal star, but it is actually just a star that is for a champion's belt that Rockhawk owns. And Bowser just absolutely crushes him. So right here, I'm actually going to be intentionally saving because with Blimp Ticket Skip, you only get one try, and if you fail it without saving, the run is over. But the good thing is if I fail it, I can just reset the game and try again. It's not ideal because it wastes like a minute each time you fail it. Actually, more than that. It wastes like probably like a minute and a half or so. So it's not ideal. Essentially, the way we're going to do this is we're actually going to, similar to Teleport Room earlier, we're going to get into a very specific section and then do an unspin jump. Now, the good thing about this is it's actually not, you don't have a 2-frame window and you don't have to hold a specific angle. All you have to do is just hold up once you get into that little section, and then you can clip out of bounds. So now I'm going to be doing another, I'm going to be storing another jump with Koops, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to position Koops in a specific way, and then get to the end of this email, and I'm basically going to use Koops, and similar to the Goombella buffer, just press right into the email. So I fail it twice there, and I get the third try. And thankfully, I did it well enough to get the super jump. Now I can just levitate across this barrier and go to Glitzville. So lost about 25 seconds there because my gold had a really good Blimp Ticket Skip. But still really solid. Getting that first try is pretty much needed because if you get it second try, you waste a lot of time. So something I'm going to do is I'm actually intentionally going to leave Glitzville and then come back, because if you were to try and go into the Glitz Pit, the game essentially, like at this point, since you're just visiting Glitzville for the first time, it doesn't let you go into Glitz Pit because the game's like at like a certain state where it's like, okay, you beat chapter 3, and after you beat chapter 3, they don't let you back into the Glitz Pit for whatever reason. You have to actually leave Glitzville and then come back, and then you can enter chapter 3. Nah, I wasn't really freaking out, because, again, Jake, I had a really good run, and then I got 16th try item drop. No, I'm sorry, I got 16 attempts at an item drop, and I didn't get it, so, no. So welcome to what is pretty much one of the biggest RNG sections of the run that can lose a lot of time. So essentially, during these fights, Grubba, well, in this case Jolene, basically gives you a condition. They give you a random condition. That can be a bunch of different things. It could be stuff like appeal 3 times. It could be stuff like take damage 5 times. Don't attack for the first 3 turns. Stuff like that. And it can really lose a lot of time depending on what you get. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, if it's in Japanese, how are you going to be able to tell what the conditions are? Well, basically, it's all about recognizing Japanese characters and then translating them into conditions. On the resources site of speedrun.com/T2ID, basically there are all the conditions that you can get, and then it kind of tells you what to look for. I can't really describe what I look for right now because I'm mashing through the text, but essentially when it comes to numbers, they're 5 and then a square looking box is essentially times. So 5 times, that means take damage 5 times. Then there are numbers like a 5 and a flag-looking symbol. That is, complete the battle within 5 turns or less. Then there's 3 flag, which is don't attack for the first 3 turns. There is literally one that just says FP, which means just don't use FP. Then there's a few more complicated ones, like there is a, there's like one that I look for, which is like an incomplete box, which means don't attack with Mario. So, it's a little hard to describe, but just know that I know what I'm doing and I know the conditions I'm getting and I know how to follow them. Nice spin jump there. So right here, that is don't jump with Mario. The way I was able to tell that is because there's like a sad looking emoji, or not emoji, but there's just a sad looking face that I look for. So I'm able to look really quickly and I'm able to tell what the conditions are pretty fast without wasting too much time. So at this point in Chapter 3, I'm going to be using a bunch of Fright Masks. It's the fastest way to beat these fights, and the worst condition I can get is don't use items, because then, at that point, I couldn't use the Fright Mask and the fight would take a lot longer. So at this point, the game is reverted to Chapter 3, which is good because we need to get Yoshi. So 5 square, that is take damage 5 times. And I was actually in a bit of a tough situation right here. So what I should have done is switch to Goombella, because if you actually jump on an enemy, and then, like if you jump on an enemy with either Mario or Goombella and you take damage from it, or just, I guess in general, if you just take damage from attacking, that actually counts as taking damage. So, first mistake, I didn't heal. Second mistake, I didn't switch to Goombella, so there was nothing I could really do. So, I jump right there, and then I realized, wait, shoot, these guys do a decent amount of damage. So I took 2 damage right there, there's 3, and I'm in peril. So here I am wondering, okay, what do I do? I'm in peril. I have to, like, guard these. And Koops has 1 defense, so this does not give him any damage, and I essentially waste a turn. I super guarded there because I was afraid it was going after Mario. So now I finally switch to Goombella, and I take the last few damage right here. So I was very nervous, and I wasted a lot more time than I needed to because of that, but I got through it, thankfully. So that was a bit of a scuffed fight, but I got through it. And I guess to explain anything, you cannot, or just to explain this, you cannot run away from the battle without following the conditions. So I can't run away from the battle and try to get a different condition. I have to follow, take damage 5 times. So right there, I kind of missed what it was, but the condition is don't switch partners, so I switched to Koops right there. I don't heal just for the reason of I knew that this fight was going to end in 1 turn anyways, so I was fine without healing. So this fight we don't actually use Fright Masks, we actually just use Koops' ability to take care of him. We're coming up about halfway through the minor league, and the RNG hasn't been the best, but it hasn't been the worst either. But I believe that changes right away, and I believe I get take damage 5 times once again. Yep. So I see that and I'm just like, gosh dang it. So I heal with Mario because I'm like, I'm not making the same mistake I did last time, and I also immediately switch to Goombella. So I'm already starting to lose time versus my gold, and looking at the time, I know I'm gonna lose probably about a minute. I see that dizzy dial and I'm like, are you kidding me? So that guy has a dizzy dial and it's not gonna affect things too bad, but it will delay me getting hurt. I take 2 damage right there. And then he does not attack, so this is 3 so far. And I'm like, alright, 4. And I'm like, alright, 5. Dang it. That's 5. So I did follow the condition. And I don't actually think Dizzy is affected on items, but just to be 100% safe, I switched to Koops anyways to use the Fright Mask. And all of them ran, which is good because they do have a chance to not run. So I lost 56 seconds versus my goal. But the good thing is I was still saving time versus my PB. So take that 5 damage 5 times again. I was like, are you kidding me? 2 times in a row. Are you kidding me? I was a little annoyed at this point, but I was like, okay, that's fine. For some reason, I did not switch to Goombella when I really should have. But I think I still managed to take damage 5 times pretty quickly. Okay, I switched to Goombella right there, that's right. So I take 1 damage with Mario. 2. 3. 4. And that's not 5, but this is 5. And I hope that, oh, I didn't Fright Mask there. That's surprising. I should have Fright Masked it first, but I guess I didn't. I think I might have lost count and I might have thought that that was 5 damage. But that's okay. So I killed that Pale Piranha on purpose because I want to I want to have at least 3 star points extra. Because leveling does actually matter here. You don't want to get too many extra star points or else you'll be over leveled. Now over leveling isn't too bad, but it requires you to do a more risky Bowser fight. So finally I get an easy condition, which is don't use special moves. I'm like, okay, I can follow that. Perfect, thank you, game. So this fight's very easy. All we have to do is use the Ultra Hammer ability, and it will kill them. Thankfully, no Fright Masks needed. But at this point, I'm actually getting really decent RNG with the Fright Masks, because almost every fight that we Fright Mask, they have a chance to not run. And that's bad, because we have no backups for Fright Masks. You can actually opt to get backups by just by basically just having a bit of a different item route. But it's better, or it's faster to buy 7 right away and have no backups. So don't switch partners again. Easy condition, because all I have to do is Fright Mask. But I believe this is actually where the Fright Mask does actually One fails, which is fine, thankfully, because I'm still at a low enough level to where having one fail right here is not the end of the world, but it was definitely a bit annoying. So I switched Goombella in front and I used the Fright Mask there, just in case one decided not to run, which one didn't. So I have no choice but to kill the guy, and thankfully, one jump, and he'll just explode. So now at this point, I'm leveling up, and I'm actually at the max level without over-leveling. Basically, the next fight, I need every enemy to run, or else I'm going to be over-leveled. But something interesting actually happens, which I'll go ahead and wait until it gets there to explain what happens. I do believe, though, to end this all off, I get take damage 5 times once again. No, I got appeal 3 times, so it's not that bad, but it was still slow because there are 4 enemies here. So I decided to be a little smart right here. So the fight right here is the Handed Overs, aka the Bandits. Basically, they can steal coins / items from you, and what I decided to do is actually, while I was appealing, let them damage me and steal my coins, because coins don't matter too much, thankfully. They matter after Chapter 3 for just one section, but you have more than enough coins. So I let them steal my coins because the next turn they will run away, and then I won't gain any experience. That one does not steal anything from me, and that one also doesn't, so I'm like, okay, let's just go ahead and use the Fright Mask, and let's hope all of them run. The coins are just in case they don't run away, because they will 100% run if they take your coins. So one doesn't run, and I'm like, oh shoot, okay, let's see if he steals my coins. He does, and I was like, perfect, that is exactly what I needed right now. So now I just wait, and then he runs away, and I am at the perfect level right now. I am at the max amount of star points I can. If I would have gotten one extra, then I would have been over leveled, but I was all good. So I was really happy about that because that wasn't the best Chapter 3, but I still managed to get to the level I wanted to be at. Thank you, Emerald Gaming, for the 100 bits. Unfortunately, alerts are off right now, but thank you for the 100 bits nevertheless. Oh, so a little side effect about this cutscene. We get to see double Jolene, because the game is in a Chapter 3 state, but it also is kind of in a state where it's like, oh hey, you're visiting Glitzville again, so Jolene is the one giving you the conditions, so it's interesting, you know? So thankfully the next condition right here does not matter, so I just skip through it. I believe I got Don't Attack for the first 3 turns on that anyways, which would have been horrible. That's like the worst condition to get. So now Grubba's back, even though he wasn't there originally. So these are the Armored Harriers, and there's no way to actually beat them without Yoshi. There's just no damage that they can't take any damage from anything. Items, Crystal Star abilities, attacks, nothing. The only thing that can damage them is Yoshi using his Gulp ability, where he essentially eats them and then spits them out at each other. So all we have to do is just run away, and thankfully, it does not matter if we followed the condition or not, because we are only here for Yoshi. So we got Red Yoshi, and the Yoshi color is actually determined by the file time, since Yoshi just kind of automatically appears to you. We didn't actually see it, but basically Frankly was the Yoshi egg. As you can see, Frankly's no longer here. And usually the Yoshi egg follower just kind of appears there, and you don't actually need to go out and get him. So now we have Yoshi, and he has the default name of Chibi Yoshi, I believe is what it is. All I do is just press start and then press yes, and then, you know, he gets the name Chibi Yoshi. I think red is a cool color. So with that done, we can leave chapter 3. We have no reason to be here anymore. So lost about a minute and a half in chapter 3, which is not the best, but it was alright. So like I said, coins don't really matter, but I do need to actually take one more shopping trip right here and buy some items, and I do make a slight mistake right here. So first I need to buy 2 super shrooms. That's going to be useful for later. Then I need to buy 2 point swaps, but I accidentally buy 3. And I did not realize that until later. So I buy, now I need to buy 3 power punches, but when I go to buy the third, it's like, wait, what happened? And I look at my inventory, I'm like, oh shoot, I've got 3 point swaps. I'm like, actually no, I'm checking, I haven't realized it yet, and I'm like, what did I do? Oh shoot, I have 3 point swaps. I'm like, oh shoot, okay. Let's get rid of one. And then I buy a power punch. So, dumb time loss to that, because I was kind of autopiloting, and I didn't realize, oh shoot, I was only supposed to buy 2 point swaps. Like, I knew that, but for some reason, I just messed up anyways. Oh, something I guess I haven't mentioned, even though we don't have the blimp ticket, the game just gives it to you anyways, at least when you're leaving Glitzville. It doesn't give it to you when you're going to Glitzville, but it gives it to you when you're leaving Glitzville for some reason. So in old runs, what we'd actually do at this point is we'd usually go to the parlor and buy a bunch of Power Rush partner badges. But since we're doing the Peril Goombella route, we do not need all those Power Rushes. So nothing is stopping us, and we can just go immediately to chapter 7 and beat chapter 7. And thankfully chapter 7 does not take that long whatsoever, because we did half of it, or at least half of the X-Naut Fortress in like earlier, so we just have to do the second half. Going to that shop prevents a crash that can happen in chapter 7. Literally all you do is just walk in and walk out, and it prevents the crash. The crash is not too common, but it's better just to prevent it, because you know, you don't want to be going to this run on PB pace and then have it crash. And earlier you might have seen, but I equipped my badges. I put on Mega Rush, Power Rush, or Mega Rush P, Power Rush P, and the Double Dip. That is going to be shown off on this boss. It's going to be the first boss that's going to make use of Peril Goombella. And thankfully, because I have the elevator key, I can just immediately go into this elevator, and even though the game is not updated to chapter 7 just yet, going through this elevator pretty much activates it, I believe. Or I believe it's collecting the key card that activates it. There are a bunch of different ways you can revert the game or update the game to a chapter, like collecting a key item usually, or just hitting a certain point. So right here, this is going a lot faster than usual because I rode Yoshi and then got off. And I guess a little difference, on the Japanese version only, there are only 2 tiles, but on every other version, like English and stuff, there are 3. So now I'm actually going to get another super jump here. It's a little different than with Koops. Essentially, while I'm collecting an item, I'm going to ride Yoshi. Well, press X to ride Yoshi. And you may have noticed that Yoshi kind of like teleported into Mario. That means I got it. So it's going to be useful to skip a little bit of this next section coming up. Right here I'm being very careful because I don't want to accidentally press A whatsoever. So now I'm going to be doing another super jump right here, just to go all the way up here. And then I can get the card key, and now I have to travel through the background, and that saves a decent amount of time because if I didn't do that, I'd have to go into the background, then I need to get the card key, and then I need to go into the background again. So while in the background, I switched to Koops, because hitting this next switch with Koops is actually just a little bit faster. All right. There we go. And now we can go and fight Grotus. I'm not Grotus. Magnus von Grapple 2.0. I'm sorry, Alpha Dolphin with the raid. I'm sorry, what? I literally just followed you like a few days ago and you're already raiding me? Well, thank you, man. I appreciate the raid. Welcome to a commentated run of 1,000 Year Door. This is a PB I got a few days ago, and I'm adding some commentary. And you came in at a pretty interesting time. This is a exciting part. So right here, we're going to switch to Goombella, and then we're going to use Double Dip and a Power Punch on Goombella. She's gonna get very big. And then the Point Swap is a great item that allows us to switch HP and FP. And by guarding this attack right here, I am in peril, and Goombella's just about to do a bunch of damage. Thanks to the Power Rush partner and the Mega Rush partner, Goombella just does a ton of damage. Goombella just completely destroys him. This looks sick. Yeah, I mean, hey, thank you for the raid. I guess I'm just surprised because, you know, until like a few days ago, I didn't think you knew who I was. Let alone, didn't expect you to raid me. But thank you. I did actually have your stream up in the background while I was commentating, but I didn't notice that you were raiding. But anyways, there we go. Chapter 7 is done. And because of that, we can go to Chapter 8. So Chapter 7 is done, and we don't have all the crystal stars, but we can still enter Chapter 8 because thank you, sequence points. So something right here that happens that I need to mention, and I have no idea how it happened, but you may notice that the audio is a bit desynced. For some reason, OBS desynced my audio, and I don't know how it did whatsoever. And then, after a little bit, the audio just completely cuts out through OBS, but the entire time while I was listening to it through my computer, because whenever I record runs or stream, I listen through my PC. I was hearing it through my headphones the entire time, and there was no desync or no, there was no like audio cutout or anything. But for some reason, OBS just stopped recording the audio. And so at this point, the audio is desynced, and then after we get to the elevator of Chapter 7, it just completely leaves. It just completely goes away. And I don't know how this happened, but it did happen. So I actually edited in some, I actually went through and edited my PB video to have some game, because otherwise it's just silence the entire time. So I edited in some of the game audio later, but that's the only tampering I did with the run. Other than that, this run is still very legit. No, I don't use Elgato. It was something with OBS that happened, I believe. And again, I did not know this the entire time. Like, I didn't notice at all because, you know, everything was working. I was able to hear it. So now there's not much to do. There was only a short Bowser cutscene, and now we get to go talk to Tech, learn some information, and then leave Chapter 8. So right about here, there we go. The game audio just cut out. So now all of this here is just the music that I just kind of spliced in from the game. It's not going to be super accurate whatsoever, but it just gives people something to listen to, so it's not just dead silence the entire time. I did not edit it super accurately, so just I guess be aware of that. So unfortunately for the rest of the run, you're not going to hear any inputs, and the music's going to be lined up a little interesting. I tried to line up the music, I guess, as best as I could, except for one section, which is at the very end, where a bunch of music tracks just changed. It already took me like 30 minutes to edit all this in anyways, but I was not going to go super above and beyond. X-Naught goes hard. Yeah, it's pretty good. Have you played this game before, Alpha? So Tech unfortunately dies. Well, he doesn't die, but he's about to self-destruct. Yeah, I decided to go through a little bit of trouble of editing it. Again, the only section that I didn't really go ham on the editing was, it was the last cutscenes where Mario gets an email from Goombella, and then it goes from like Rogueport music to Petalburg music to Petal Meadows music to the battle music to... I did not go through the trouble of that. I was like, no thank you. Ah, rip. Fair enough. Unfortunately, Tech explodes and is gone. So there is a bit of silence right here because, I mean, in the actual game there is silence. But don't worry, the music will come back. We got Frankly here, who is letting us know that he saw people entering the 1,000-year door, and we're just kind of like, hey, wait, how's that possible? I thought the 1,000-year door couldn't be opened without the 7 crystal stars. So right here, there's one last super jump I need to get, which that was not the super jump I was trying to get. So there's an email right there, and I was able to get the super jump by basically entering that email and pressing X to get off of Yoshi on the same frame. That was by complete accident. I mean, I did try to go for it, but usually what I do is I get a super jump off of the star piece, which is behind the pillar on the left side. But somehow I just got that and I was like, okay, that's a gold I'm never going to beat again. So anyways, the entire reason I was getting star pieces was to get Item Hog. You need 5 star pieces to get Item Hog, and Item Hog is going to be useful for the infamous palace skip. I would say infamous and famous palace skip. Now we got the grand opening of the 1,000-year door, which is actually a pretty cool cutscene when it has the actual audio. But like I said, I'm not gonna go through the trouble of somehow editing all this in. Played this game when you were 11. I was 4 when this game came out. Wait, no, I was 2. No, I was 2. I was 2 when this game came out. I am pretty young. This game came out in 2004. I was born in 2002. So the 1,000-year door is opened, and we can enter Chapter 8. So Chapter 8 is the scary part of the run. This is where everything comes down to Palace Skip. I'll explain more about Palace Skip whenever I get there, but it is basically the hardest trick of the run. So here we go with the Palace of Shadow. So there's a few tricks we can do in the Palace of Shadow before the actual Palace Skip. There are these gold cannons at the end of this next screen, and you can essentially go in between the bullet bills and then squeeze your way in between the gold cannons with paper mode. But it's kind of finicky and it's a little hard. It saves about 10 seconds if you get it. Actually, it might be a little less because of the time it takes to set it up. But it's pretty cool. I don't believe I get it on this one. You've got essentially 3 chances to go, to get one. Because there are 3 opportunities to do them. I attempt this one, but I get a little too close, and I encounter one of them. So I'm just like, whatever. It's one of those things where it's like, it's cool to get, but it's not like super devastating if you don't get them. This room has a lot of spikes in it. Thankfully, it's always the same, so you can just avoid them. And we have another hazard respawn glitch here. This one's a bit easier because you can actually use Yoshi, or alternatively, you can even jump, and it doesn't even have to be frame perfect. And you can just kind of avoid these fire bars. We get a boost sheet right there, and we got a little bit of a problem. We do not have the tube mode. So what I actually do is you can get into an encounter with Koops and essentially use invincibility frames here. You can also use a super jump in order to skip through this section, but I prefer just to do a do the invincibility frame strat. So now we got the Dark Bones fight, which is very, very easy. All we do is we use the Crystal Star ability, known as Supernova, and then we use the HP drain that we got earlier. I guess something that I never mentioned, but every time you get a Crystal Star, the star power actually updates to what you're supposed to have. So it's actually blank because I did blooper skip and I didn't get Sweet Treat, but I have, I believe it's 8 star power, as you can see. Or no, I don't. I don't actually remember how much you get, but I have enough to do the abilities. So right here we get another level up, and we used to, level up badge points a lot when we were doing the Peril Mario strats, or the Danger Mario strats, but we're actually gonna level up Mario's HP to 15. And then once we get one more level up, we're gonna level up Mario's HP to 20. So here's the second room with 2 gold cannons. And basically, I messed up right here. That's okay. Getting that encounter is not too big of a deal. But I just don't go for the gold cannon skip right here, and I just walk by. But I believe I do actually get this next one. I paused right there just to make sure I have 10 items, because you need 10 items from the next skip. Right here, it's going to paper mode, and I squeeze by the gold can. So I got it at least once. And I'm gonna pick up one more badge right here, which is P up, D down partner. That is the last badge that we need. It's gonna be useful later. This is from a Wii. I play this game on the Nintendo Wii. The reason why it might be good is because I have an S-video cable. I double check right there just to make sure I have Item Hog equipped. Just want to be safe. So I guess something that I'll start explaining. So for Palace Skip coming up right here, you need an item drop. You basically need to kill one of the embers in the room before Gloomtail, and basically it's about a 21 point something percent chance. I forget the actual chance. I believe it's either 21.4 or 21.6. I forget. I'm sure if there's someone who runs Thousand Year Door in the chat, they would know. But to put it lightly, that might seem like, oh, it's not too bad, but you lose about a minute every time you don't get an item drop. And the run I had earlier, the same day that I got this PB, which was live streamed, I did not get an item drop for 16 attempts, and I just gave up at that point. I wasn't able to PB, but I just wanted to complete the run. But then I just gave up. I was like, I can't get an item drop, so I'm just not even gonna try anymore. So here I am, you know, doing another run. It's literally hours after the last run. Maybe like 6 hours or so after the last run that I attempted. Actually, no, might be a little longer. Maybe like 8 hours or so, because it's later. I did this like late at night while I was chilling with some friends. And I'm just thinking to myself, all right, I'm 7 minutes ahead. This run is better than the run I had before. What is the item gonna be like this time? Is it gonna have mercy on me? Or is it going to be like 20th try, you know? Like, I actually did the math, and based on the fact that I didn't get an item drop for 16 attempts, that's about a 3% chance. Because it's about 78 point whatever percent to the power of 16. Those were the odds I got. So this is where you use an intentional save once again, because, you know, you want to try and have a few attempts at the item drop. But here I am again, I'm like, all right, what's it gonna be like this time? Is it gonna be really bad once again? What's gonna happen? I get it first try, and I'm like, all right, God is giving me a chance. God is giving me a chance. So for palace skip, what I have to do is you need to position the item at the edge of this Ember's little zone. As you can see, he stopped right there. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to be doing a Goombella buffer once again into this item. I did not get it right there, but basically I grabbed the item while using Goombella's ability. I get second try right there, and the Ember encounters me. I didn't bother to edit in the battle music there. So now I gotta run away, but I have to keep the text up. So I keep the text up right there. And to be a little safe, this is slower, but to be a little safe, I decide to keep the item on screen. I can keep the item on screen by essentially grabbing the item with Coops and hitting the save block at the same time. You weren't able to see what happened, and I didn't get it anyways, so I decided to try it again, and I decided to have the item a little closer. Also, to answer your question, Jake, no, I was not freaking out because I still had to get palace skip. So right there, as you can see, I grabbed the item with Coops, and I hit the save block, so that allows the item to stay on screen the entire time. So now I do an Ultra Hammer spin twice. And essentially when I switch to Yoshi here, Yoshi's going to appear out of bounds. I did not run away, so now I have to hit some super guards. But essentially, nice failed super guard. By spinning the Ultra Hammer twice and switching to Yoshi in this battle, he appears out of bounds. So now I have to position Mario in a certain way to where the Ember does a thing that he did not do there. And then so right now I need to get a frame perfect input. I'm stumbling over my words. I failed it anyway, so I'll explain it a little more. So I failed it right there, and I was like, oh shoot. So I got to do everything again. But anyways, what you have to do right there is after you run away from the battle, you have to go into paper mode. And essentially what I do is I have the Ember notice me in a very specific way to where he basically lowers himself to the floor, and then by doing that, what I can do is I can unpause, and then press X either 4 or 5 frames after the menu, the pause menu goes away, and then so I press X, and then I do something called a Yoshi teleport. What that does is that allows Mario and Yoshi to clip into the ground, but Mario's still able to first strike an enemy. So by first striking the enemy, I enter the battle, and then when I run away, I can land into the loading zone that is right below this room. Did that make sense? Probably not. You'll see what I'm talking about. So I go again, I'm like, oh shoot, you know, I messed it up the first try, let's see if I can get it second try. But the specific way I manipulate the ember that I'm talking about, I actually messed it up, so it would have been frame perfect if I would have gotten it there. But right here, that's what I wanted. So I get the setup, and then I get the trick. I got it on the first frame that I could. There are 2 frames you can get pal skip with that setup, and I got it on the first frame possible. So now at this point, I am definitely excited because I was able to get a run past pal skip. That is pretty much the last hardest thing about this run. There's a little more RNG later on with Bowser, and not with Bowser, with Shadow Queen, but it's not nearly as bad as pal skip RNG. So I unfortunately lost about a minute and a half to pal skip. That's a fake gold, by the way. It's not like actually a real gold. So I lost about a minute and a half to pal skip, unfortunately, but I was definitely looking forward to being on PB pace, because it has been a while since I had a run on PB pace, and I was really far ahead, like 6 minutes and 44 seconds. That was, you know, that's a huge PB pace. So right here we have Grotus and Bowser and Cammy. So for this fight, I'm gonna take off Item Hog and equipped P up, D down, and then switch to Goombella. I'm gonna go ahead and mute for a bit because I actually turn on my mic coming up right here, and I explain my thoughts. But Grotus is a very easy fight, thankfully. And fun little fact right here. In this fight, we actually attack his staff, so he doesn't actually do any damage. That's something I did not know that is a thing until I did a run with this route. So it's very interesting finding that out. Anyways, I'm gonna mute for a bit because my real mic is gonna come on in a bit. This is legit PB pace. Oh my gosh. Second try pal skip, that's not bad. I'm a bit nervous about this Bowser fight. I've practiced it a lot, but I've never done it in a run. Whew, okay. And I was the max amount of points I could get. First try item drop, I can't believe I got that, but it sucked that I got pal skip second try. But it was a quick recovery though. I'm gonna stay muted to focus. So to explain why this next fight, this is post-commentary Yoshi back. To explain why this next fight is hard, basically you need to get 2 super guards, with actually 3 super guards technically, that are, it's not too hard, but it's definitely it can be scary. So we're first gonna start off by using a Power Punch on Goombella, and then we're gonna actually switch to Cooper. Or not Cooper, Koops. Wrong game. This first Super Guard with Bowser is impossible to Super Guard, at least on the Japanese version, so we just have to block. But then I need to hit the Super Guard with Cammy. If Cammy attacks Koops, it's actually not, I don't need to hit the Super Guard. But she attacked Mara, so I need to hit it, so I got it. So I switched to Goombella, and I want to take out Cammy first. We got Big Goombella again. So now Bowser does his bite, and I need to Super Guard this. So I get the first one, which is nice. Now I Power Bounce again, or Multi-Bonk again. So now this one, I miss, but I'm still okay as long as I hit the next Super Guard. The risk with missing that Super Guard, though, is Bowser has a chance to poison you. Now, unfortunately, he does a different attack right there, but I managed to get the Super Guard anyways, and even if I would have missed the Super Guard, I would have been fine anyways, thankfully. So that's, I guess, the good thing. But I was very nervous, and I unmute to, I guess, express how nervous I was right here. I missed the freaking Super Guard, but it was okay. That's the thing that I'm a little thankful about that fight. You can afford to miss one Super Guard and be fine. The only risk with doing that is if you miss the Super Guard, Bowser can do that stomp attack, and it has a chance to go after Mario. Thankfully, he went after Yoshi. And it's not true, you can actually get poisoned as well, like I just said. So even if I missed the Super Guard, I would have been fine. Again, risk of getting poisoned, but I wasn't thinking about that right now. Alright, unequip, P up, D down, P, and equip double dip. Alright, so we're coming up to the final fights, or the final fight, I guess I should say. So this fight does have a chance to die to RNG, but the RNG needs to be ridiculously horrible for you to die. So I had practiced this a lot and I wasn't too nervous, but I still had, like, you know, a bit of adrenaline going because, you know, I'm on PB pace and it's a huge PB pace right now. There's not really much to talk about in terms of post-commentary wise because it's just, you know, cutscenes after cutscenes after cutscenes. But yeah, as you saw, I got an Ultra Shroom and I took off P up, D down. And I equipped, I put on Double Dip again. And I also leveled up HP to 20 with Mario. So with Mario on this fight, we essentially tank. We're essentially going to be tanking all the attacks, and anytime Mario takes damage, we're just going to heal Mario, which is why we got 2 Ultra Shrooms and 2 Super Shrooms. It's funny, because back when we used to do Danger Mario, it would always be boost sheet on Mario, it doesn't really matter if your partners die. But because it does matter if Mario dies, we have to tank it. So unfortunately, Peach is gonna be the vessel for Shadow Queen. And the world's getting destroyed. Oh no. So now we have Shadow Peach, or whatever you want to call her. Shadow Queen Peach. Who knows? And Grotus thinks that being the one that awakened Shadow Queen would listen to him. But he was a bit wrong, and Shadow Queen was essentially just like, why are you commanding me? Who are you? So right here, if you want to not get a game over, all you have to do is just spam A, or even B. In order to become her slaves, you have to actually input down and press A. So Shadow Queen, the first battle, has 2 phases. So the first phase is her vulnerable phase, where you can actually damage her. And you need to do, I forget how much damage it is, I think it's 60 damage, in order for her second phase to happen. Thankfully with Goombella, we can get that damage down very quickly. So now she is in her invincible phase. No matter what attack we do, there is no way to damage her. So this is where we need to tank, because we don't have any items to... Well, we do have a boost sheet, but we're not using it right now. So we heal with Goombella, and we're going to jump with Mario. We need to damage her, try and damage her 3 times for the fight to essentially be over. Ideally, we want her to attack Goombella. She attacked Mario once, which is fine, so... Now I'm going to heal Mario. Mario took a little bit of damage there, but we heal Mario to full HP, just like that. We attack again. Goombella's is most likely going to die on the next attack. 1 attack goes to Mario. That attack goes to Goombella, which is fine. It is fine that Goombella dies. And thankfully, this last jump will do the trick. And the invincible phase is over. And hello there, Jesse. Just in time for the end of the run. So thankfully, after this cutscene, all of our stats get healed. So it doesn't matter that we are at very low HP and Goombella is dead, because everything gets healed. So basically, we've got the grand old cutscene of everyone counting on Mario and the partners. Which, you know, the partners are supposed to be like, you know, Goombella, Koops, Flurry, Yoshi, Vivian, Bobbery, and sometimes Miss Mouse. But we only have 3 party members. We have Goombella, Koops, and frickin' Yoshi. And we get to see places that we've never been to before. Like, we never went to Chapter 4, 5, and we barely went to Chapter 6. So there's not really much to talk about here. It's just a bunch of cutscenes after cutscenes, but I guess to talk about what my mind was going through, I was just thinking to myself, all right, I practiced this fight a lot. Please don't give me bad RNG. I know I can do this. I was pretty confident that I would finish, but I was, you know, still kind of like, huh, I wonder what's gonna happen. Huh, so we've never seen this town before. This is a pre-recorded run. I'm giving commentary already. This is a PB. I PB'd a few days ago and I'm giving commentary over it. I believe at some point I unmute my mic again, like the me from the past that's currently experiencing this run. And I have a few things to say, and I think I just go mute again for the rest of the fight. This is indeed a banger song. So looking at my splits right now, I already know if I win this fight, I'm gonna lose like maybe a minute or so, maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes on the split, and that's not because I suck or anything, it's just because the split is not updated to the current route. So it makes sense. So like I briefly mentioned there, and I'll continue here with post-commentary, I'm gonna lose about a minute to the split, but it's not because I played the segment really bad. It's because this fight is slower than the route I previously used. So it's just kind of adding up the time, because earlier I saved a lot of time on the X-Not Fortress split, but now some of the time is gonna, like, some of the time loss is gonna happen. But again, it's just because that's how much the route actually saves. But anyways, final fight. So I intentionally do one multi-bonk, and then I use a gradual syrup on Goombella and a shooting star to get rid of the hands. Depending on what she does here depends on what I have to do next. There are a few different things that she can do. The best case scenario is that she spawns the little hands and then attacks Goombella. She did not. She just used lightning and brought the big hands back. So right here, what I do is I use a boost sheet on Goombella, and then I use the point swap to get her into peril. Thankfully, Mario is still sitting at a comfortable 20 HP, which is great. So now I start with multi-bonk. And I get 7 mounts, which is pretty good. Thankfully, she does not attack Mario whatsoever and immediately charges. I'm at 20 HP, so I am guaranteed going to be safe. So now I use the Power Punch on Goombella and just continue to multi-bonk. So I got another 7 mounts, which is really good. Getting that extra damage in is useful. So now she does her big attack right here. I missed the guard, but it doesn't matter because I was at enough HP anyways. So now I'm going to use the Supernova, and then because I got a bunch of extra damage with Goombella, this next attack will actually kill. And I was actually very surprised. But yeah, that is basically it for the post-commentary, because at this point, the live commentary comes back and I give my general thoughts. So I'm just going to let that play for the rest of the run. But right here, this final multi-bonk will kill. I hope everyone has enjoyed the commentary I was able to provide. And with that, that is Thousand Year Door any percent, and I will let the live commentary take over for the rest. I got enough extra bounces to where I didn't even need to have the bingo. Oh my gosh, dude. A massive PB. Yeah, like I said, this minute time loss isn't actually because, like, I'm bad or anything. It's just because the splits need to be updated. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's amazing. I can't believe it. I'm happy with this time. Even though I lost like a decent amount of time in Chapter 3 to RNG and second try pal skip, I am happy with this. Finally, a PB that's like actually really decent. Sub 220 is gonna happen in no time. I was really nervous about the Bowser and Cammy fight. You know, me messing up the super guards, which I did mess up once, but that's okay. And I was really worried about this fight giving me horrible RNG, but it didn't. So I'll need to remember to delete this gold after so I can actually have it updated. Which is going to be unfortunate, because then my Some of Best Segments is going to update to a 218 versus a 217. But I know I'll be able to get that down in no time. Man, I did a run earlier today, and 16th attempts at an item drop, and I gave up. And then this run decided to, you know, pay me back and give me first try. It's also the first run where I attempted TRE with the resetting neutral method. I usually don't do that method, but I decided to try it, and well, I guess it paid off. I'm a little upset at the dumb mistakes I made, like in Chapter 7 when I stepped on the wrong tile. That was so stupid. And then buying, like, completely autopiloting and buying 3 point swaps instead of 2, so I had to sell one and then get it back. I was very lucky though with Chapter 3 RNG, despite it going bad. Like, I still managed to be at the normal level I wanted to be, at the level I wanted to be. Man, that Pokey fight, though, that upset me. I should have switched to Goombella right away. I kept blocking with Koops. It was like, no, that's right, it doesn't do any damage, but I was at such low health with Mario that it was like risky to not block. I just got put in a bad spot. Bridge skip wasn't good, unfortunately. I got window jump though, and I golded by a lot. Well, by 12 seconds at least. I'm curious, where does this put me on the leaderboard? That put me up a lot. I think I'm definitely back in the top 10. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be in the top 4! Holy crap! That's gonna be 4th place on the leaderboard. From 13th to 4th, holy crap! Between Sway, who has a 217, and Sitting Ducks, who has a 222, there's no one else there. Holy crap. I am back in the top 5, baby. That is amazing. I have not been in the top 5 in this category for so long, and it feels so good. Now I just need to hope my power doesn't go out. Man, if I would have had a better power skip, I might have been able to get sub 220 this run. Oh well. I'm still very happy with this run despite everything. I was just kind of doing it as just a, hey, you know what, I'll try again, I'm not really doing anything. I literally just, like, stayed muted in, like, on here, except for now. And I was just chilling with friends while I do an offline run. Why is it that I PB offline? I mean, I'll probably restream this and give some commentary. Obviously, this is past commentary, or the live commentary, me right now. So maybe I'll do a stream with my PB when I have time. If I feel like sitting for like 2.5 hours to give commentary. Man, back in the top 4, holy crap. First run completed with the Goombella route. I was honestly very skeptical about using the Goombella route because I thought it was a lot riskier than it actually is. It's really not that bad. I might consider doing this at pace. Just depends. I guess I had better mashing because I'm about to gold here. There we go. 221.31. I am back in the top 5. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna go ahead and real quickly delete this Shadow Queen gold. Oh wait, I can't. I have to reset my split, so I'll do that in a second. Ah, dang. My Summon Best is almost a 216. Well, I mean, it's gonna get updated. Okay, so my Summon Best is still gonna be a 217. That's cool. Oh my gosh. Holy crap, man. Let's see, so... yeah, Blooper Skip, I got second try. Bridge Skip, I got it 6th try. But I still saved time as opposed to not doing it. Hooktail Castle was really, really good. Teleport Room Early was really good. Is there anything that went wrong with Teleport Room Early? No, I guess besides getting it maybe a little faster. Sub-levels, that was stupid. I just... electricity. Super Boots. There was something I did. Oh yeah, I walked into the loading zone, so I failed. And I also almost bought the wrong Power Rush. So that was a little mistake, but that's fine. Posture Sanctum, the only reason I lost time there is because I got 3rd try jump storage with Coops. That was a little unfortunate. Kind of a slow blimp ticket skip. It was like 3rd try to get the super jump. Rank 15, oh gosh, just the pokies, what else? Yeah, it was mostly the pokies. The pokies were, and the spikes. Because I had to get damaged 5 times on that as well, and that lost a lot of time. And it was also really low health, so I was trying to be very cautious. The minor league split, that wasn't too bad. The only thing that I can remember that went, I got damaged 5 times again on, I think it was Mind Bogglers. So that was annoying. One of the bombs didn't run away, but that was okay. One of the bandits didn't run away, but then he stole my coins, so I was able to do that just fine. I had to appeal 3 times on that fight. The X-Naut Fortress, I bought 1 too many point swaps and not enough power punches, so I had to like kind of futz around with that, so that's whatever. Pre-chapter 8, I'm never gonna beat that gold because I usually go for the star piece jump storage, but I got the email jump storage just by kind of random, not even random chance, but just I got it. So that's gonna be a really quick split, and I'm probably never gonna beat that again. Palace Skip, 1st try Item Drop, 2nd try Yoshi Teleport. It was a little unfortunate that I got 2nd try. I mean, I was 1 frame early anyway, so even though I didn't get the actual setup that I usually do for that, it was still fine. And then Shadow Queen and Bowser and Grottos were all really good. The only reason I lost a minute is, again, the splits weren't updated to the current route, so that's actually a fake gold that I'm going to delete as soon as I reset my splits. So I'll go ahead and take a screenshot of my splits, might as well. Go and post this on Twitter. Unfortunately, people are just gonna be learning about this. That's okay, because I'll maybe restream it. Alright, there's the tweet. Awesome. And then I'll post it in the 1000 Year Door Discord. But man, I'm definitely very happy about this PB. It actually like reflects my skill level, because that 227 that I got, like, you know, it was a decent run. I forget what try Item Drop I got, but, you know, it just didn't really reflect my skill level. This run, though, it actually, like, shows that, hey, I am actually a pretty good runner at this game. Just never have the time to speedrun anymore. Man, G, frickin' G. And I'll go ahead and end this recording with email crash. Just to prove that I'm actually here. And it's not, you know, I'm not doing anything sketchy. I mean, then again, I guess there are still things, but, you know. I don't think anyone will think it's fake. Hopefully not. That'd be unfortunate. Gumbel is still hurting. Alright, email crash. There we go. GG.